Hallo, herzlich willkommen. Ich bin Susanne. This video is about relative clauses and introduction. I will explain in English, though all my examples will be in German, and I will be explaining relative clauses in nominative and in accusative case. Thank you, Nicole, for your question, and let's dive in. I have two sentences for you here. Meine Kaffeetasse ist weiß. Sie steht in der Küche. These are two main clauses. I would like to create a relative clause out of these two main clauses. And there's a so-called Bezugswort in both of the sentences, a word of reference, which is Kaffeetasse. And I need to know the gender. I need to know whether it's singular or plural. And in my second main clause, I do need to find out in which case it is. Is it a nominative, dative, accusative, or genitive case? Kaffeetasse is female, singular. Now I go to my second main clause. In which casus, as we say in German, is it? See, also, die Kaffeetasse steht in der Küche. It's my subject of the sentence, so it's nominative case. The relative pronoun in nominative case, singular, female, is die. Now let's have a look at the sentence. Meine Kaffeetasse, die in der Küche steht, ist weiß. My coffee cup, which or that is in the kitchen, is white. I have to frame the relative clause with two commas because I have another frame around the relative clause, which is my main clause. You can see the relative clause explains a bit more about the coffee cup, and that is why my relative pronoun, die, is right after the comma, right next to the noun, which is my so-called Bezugswort, my word of reference. They are next to each other, separated by a comma. You can also see I have a frame, my main clause, meine Kaffeetasse ist weiß. And you can also see that my relative clause has the verb at the end, the conjugated verb at the end, and it is a subordinate clause, a relative clause introduced by a relative pronoun, in this case die, is a relative clause, is a subordinate clause, ein Nebensatz. Okay, let's go to the next sentence. Der Kirschbaum steht im Garten, trägt viele Kirschen. Two main clauses here. I want to create one relative clause. Kirschbaum is my Bezugswort, my word of reference. So, it is male, it is singular, der Kirschbaum. I can see that it's very obvious. But now I'm going to the second main clause. In which case is it? It is the subject of the sentence. Is the subject of the sentence, so it's nominative case. I need to know that. The nominative male singular relative pronoun is der. Now let's create our sentence. Der Kirschbaum, der im Garten steht, trägt viele Kirschen. The cherry tree, which or that is in the garden, has many cherries. Okay, so der im Garten steht. This time I'm saying der because we know now that cherry tree is male singular but also in nominative case. And der is not an article but my relative pronoun introducing the relative clause, conjugated verb at the end. Next example. Im Wohnzimmer ist ein großes Fenster. Es ist weit geöffnet. Two main clauses. What is my Bezugswort? Yes, it is Fenster. Das Fenster, neuter, singular. Let's have a look at the second main clause. In which case is it? Es, so das Fenster, ist weit geöffnet. It is my subject of the sentence, and that means it is in nominative case. The relative pronoun in nominative case neuter singular is das. Now let's put the sentence together. Im Wohnzimmer ist ein großes Fenster, das weit geöffnet ist. That is wide opened. Which is wide opened. Okay. Here's only one comma because we don't need another comma here. We have a main and a subordinate clause. The subordinate clause is my relative clause introduced with das, my relative pronoun, which is closely related to Fenster because it refers to das Nomen, the noun window. Okay? Okay, here's another example. Es gibt viele Bienen und Wespen. Sie fliegen im Garten herum. Two main clauses, Bienen und Wespen, plural. In the second main clause, sie, they, is your subject of the sentence, so it is nominative case. And the relative pronoun for plural nominative case is die. Okay, now let's have a look at the sentence. Es gibt viele Bienen und Wespen, die im Garten herumfliegen. There are many that or which fly around. Die is plural. It's closely related or referring to Bienen und Wespen. I have got a task for you if you want to. Here are two main clauses. Im Garten stehen viele Blumen, sie blühen in allen Farben. If you like, create a relative clause out of these two main clauses, answering 3 questions. In which case does the Bezugswort, word of reference, stand, which you can see in the second main clause? And what is the gender, and also is it plural or singular? Answer those questions first before you create your relative clause. And here's another task. Mein Wohnzimmer hat einen Balkon. Ist aus Holz. Create one relative clause out of the two main clauses. You can listen to this video, you can watch this video, but you only learn by applying and by doing it yourself. So I recommend taking a pen and a piece of paper and writing it down. I would love to see your sentences below this video. Let's go to the second part of this video, accusative case, relative clauses in accusative case. And here are my examples for you. Ich habe eine weiße Kaffeetasse. Ich mag sie. 2 sentences. We already know Kaffeetasse is female, singular. Now let's have a look at the second main clause. Ich mag sie. Ich mag die Kaffeetasse. Now the coffee cup is in accusative case. It's your direct object because ich is the subject in nominative. So we know now we need a relative pronoun in accusative case, female, singular, and this is die as well. It looks identical to the nominative relative pronoun, but it is very important to understand the difference in German between a direct object and a subject, between the nominative and the accusative case. Okay, here's the sentence. Ich habe eine weiße Kaffeetasse, die ich mag. Which I like, that I like. Mag is at the end conjugated, and die refers to Kaffeetasse, the noun Kaffeetasse, which is female, accusative, singular. Next example, der Kirschbaum ist wunderschön, ich umarme ihn gern. Ich umarme den Kirschbaum gern. Der singular, we already know that, and in the second sentence, and the second main clause is our third information that we need. In which case is it in? In means accusative, it's your direct object, and that is the information we need. And the relative pronoun in accusative case, singular male, is den. And now let's create the sentence. Der Kirschbaum, den ich gern umarme, ist wunderschön. You can see again my main clause framing the relative clause. Der Kirschbaum ist wunderschön. If that sentence is correct grammatically, sentence structure-wise, you probably have a correct sentence here. And my relative clause in the middle just gives you a little bit more information about the Kirschbaum, the cherry tree. The cherry tree which I like to hug is beautiful. Den ich gern umarme. Ich is nominative, so the den, your relative pronoun, cannot be in nominative case. It needs to be in accusative case. Next example. Im Wohnzimmer ist ein Fenster und mein Vater hat es weit geöffnet. Das Fenster, singular neuter. In the second main clause is your third information hidden. In which case is it? Mein Vater hat das Fenster weit geöffnet. Mein Vater is the subject in nominative case. And he opened the direct object, the window. So it's accusative case. The relative pronoun in accusative case, neuter singular, is das. Let's have a look at the sentence. Im Wohnzimmer ist ein Fenster, das mein Vater geöffnet hat. Which or that my father opened. Das, you must have a comma before you start your relative clause. Last example. Viele Bienen und Wespen fliegen im Garten herum und ich beobachte sie gern. I like observing them. Plural, Bienen und Wespen, plural. And now let's have a look at the second main clause. In which case are they? I, the subject, observing them, the direct object, the accusative case. So, they are in accusative case. Viele Bienen und Wespen, die ich gern beobachte, fliegen im Garten herum. My main clause again, viele Bienen und Wespen fliegen im Garten herum, and my subordinate clause is my relative clause in the middle, explaining a little bit more about them, that I like observing them, die, which I like observing, die ich gern beobachte. So that is plural, and the die is your relative pronoun and plural accusative. As you can see, the accusative relative pronouns and the nominative relative pronouns in nominative and accusative are identical, but not the accusative singular. There's a difference between der and den. Yes, and here's another homework for you, or task exercise. Sam hat einen Hund. Hat ihn Leo genannt. Create a relative clause out of these two main clauses. And here's a second task for you. Im Gras, das Gras im Garten ist sehr hoch. Mein Bruder mäht es heute. Create one relative clause out of these two main clauses. So this was the video. I would love to see your homework, your exercises below the video. That would be wonderful. Ich hoffe, das Video war nützlich. I hope the video was helpful in some way. I will create another video talking about the dative and genitive as well in an introductory way. And for now, jetzt wünsche ich euch einen wundervollen Tag, eine wundervolle Woche und bis bald. Tschüss und auf Wiedersehen.